What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review, here to talk about the Daily Wire film Lady Ballers. I've gotten to see this movie now, and let me say this: I am a very center of the road political guy. I'm not overly political. I'm not leaning too far left or too far left or too far right. There are some things I lean right on, there are some things I lean left on, but for the most part, I think that Democrats and Republicans are two sides of the same crappy coin. That being said, this movie, I believe, your enjoyment of this movie is gonna depend on one of two things. Number one, do you agree with the politics? Number two, if you don't agree with the politics, are you in a political mindset where you can put politics aside? If you cannot do one of those two things, you will hate this movie. you, if you agree with the politics, you're gonna love this movie. You're gonna love it, because this movie is a extremely right-leaning movie that bashes a lot of left ideologies. If you're like me and you are in the center of the political spectrum and you are able to kind of disassociate yourself from the politics, yeah, I thought this movie had some funny parts in it. I did. I laughed several times. Sometimes I found myself laughing at jokes that I thought were funny because there was a part of me that agreed with them. Sometimes I found myself laughing at jokes that were funny, and I thought to myself, "Ooh, why am I laughing at that? That's not funny. That's insensitive." So, credit to this movie for being funny. You know, comedians do it all the time. Comedians get up and they tell jokes all the time that are meant to make you uncomfortable, that are meant to make you laugh and then go, ooh, wait a second, should I be laughing at that? Comedians do that all the time. Lady Ballers does that. So, as a comedy, it does what its number one job is, and that's be funny. But was it good? It was funny, but was it good? The acting is very spotty, and you can almost forgive them for the acting being spotty because any union actors, any real actors, they wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole, because politics in Hollywood are so left that acting in a right-leaning movie, or just a movie that's on the right, I mean, it could blacklist you. Let's call it like it is. It could blacklist you. You see actors come out as conservative all the time, and they magically don't work anymore. So let's not pretend that that's not a thing in Hollywood, because it clearly is. So what the Daily Wire did was they populated this movie with a lot of their own personalities. And some of them did a decent job. Some of them were difficult to watch. I'd say the one that did the best job was Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh was really funny in this. Really funny. And I think he's so funny in this because he juxtaposes his what he really is against the extreme opposite of what he really is. So what he really is a, right-wing conservative pundit. And what he plays in this is a very left-wing kind of hippie personality. And kind of because of that, it is funny. Some of the other ones, there's a cameo by Candace Owens in this that really fell flat. Michael Knowles plays a role in this, and I just feel like a lot of his lines were meant to be funny, but the delivery was off on them. So Brett Cooper was funny. I mean, I like Brett Cooper as a personality anyways. I don't always agree with everything she says, but as a personality, I like her. So, yeah, there was a lot of acting moments that didn't hit. The message in this was fine if you agree with the message. If you don't agree with the message, you might end up getting very angry about this. But this movie did try to wrap everything up at the end in a nice bow of a message that is meant to inform, inspire, whatever the case may be. You can tell that this is a movie from a new studio, and the Daily Wire is still fairly new at making movies, and you can tell that this is a movie from a new studio who is trying to find their footing. There's definitely some growing pains in this. And I've seen people make comparisons to South Park. And I agree with that except for one thing. All right. South Park has made a lot of the same types of jokes that they make in Lady Ballers, and those jokes are funny, and I laugh. But what South Park does is South Park will call out both extremes, right? They'll call out both sides of the extreme. And your politics, your personal politics, are going to identify whether or not you think South Park is left-leaning or right-leaning. I remember the most recent thing, the Panderverse. When that came out, you had a lot of conservatives who were cheering for South Park, but were conveniently ignoring the things that the Panderverse did that called out right-leaning idiocracies or idiocies or whatever. Stupid things that the right does. They were conveniently ignoring that. Conversely, the left was doing the same thing. The left was calling South Park a victory for them, and conveniently ignoring the fact that South Park was lampooning them as well. So South Park calls out both sides. This movie clearly does not. Being put out by the Daily Wire, it only calls out one side, the idiocies of one side, when there's idiocies clearly to both sides. So, like I said, I stand by what I said. If you are a right-leaning individual, or if you are a center political individual who is capable of disassociating your politics from the movies you watch, I think that there's fun to be had here. If you are a center individual who cannot disassociate the movie from the politics, or if you're a left-leaning individual, I don't think there's anything to be had here for you. I think that you're just going to find it cringy and might even get angry. So I hope this review helped. It's not very often that I find myself having to delve into the world of politics here on my channel. Being a person who exists in the center, who doesn't like to get into political engagements, who just wants to talk about movies and talk about pop culture and comic books and TV shows and all that. Being that type of person, I gotta admit, I found this review kind of uncomfortable. But I thought it was worth at least talking about. So if you are coming to my channel and you have not watched it yet, and you're wondering if you should, there's a scenario where you might be the target audience for this. There's also a scenario where you're not the target audience for this. And so I just hope that I was able to kind of lay out whether or not you are the target audience for this. From my perspective, if you are a right-leaning individual, good on you. If you're a left-leaning individual, good on you. This is America. I love the fact that we have freedoms to express ourselves politically, even though I normally choose not to. But I still love that we have those freedoms, and that we have those freedoms to be a right-leaning individual or a left-leaning individual. I just wanted to make sure you knew kind of who this was made for. All right, guys. Have you seen Lady Ballers? Are you interested in Lady Ballers? If you've seen it, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Thank you guys for coming here to my channel, and until next time, we'll see you later.